Alright, Carl hello, y'all by Shemel Shai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS. Honest you brothers, I'll be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Alright, and we're in the wake of the so-called Brexit. Okay, wherein Britain has made, as a collective, made the decision to leave the so-called United Unions, not to be confused with NATO, because when you go into the scriptures, you get into the understanding of the beast, and you find out that that's NATO, and the woman that sits upon the beast is America, and so on and so forth. So it's important not to confuse yourself with one of the two, the EU and NATO, man. Okay, but really, what that's showing you there is what potentially one of the agendas that they have on the table is, and we know that to be the case anyway. We know that one of the agendas of the elite banking families is to destabilize the economic markets, man. Okay, that's why you have what you know right now as a bubble, okay, a financial bubble, all right, and these elites are gonna have it to where that bubble's gonna grow, but they also destabilizing all of these different economies to when that bubble bursts, man. You ain't gonna have no safety nets. Okay, so with Britain leaving the so-called EU, regardless of what's going to happen as a result of that, and you're already seeing the results of that. You got it to where the Dow Jones was like down by like 600 points. Okay, you had it to where the Bank of England was saying they was going to give out like 250 billion to try to stabilize the economy, and they, the top businesses within Europe, within England, rather more. All right, they knocked off something like 120 billion off of their assets, right? And that's just as a direct result, okay, of them making the decision to leave. They haven't actually left yet, okay? So when they actually leave, you're gonna have it to where I'm pretty sure certain of those sort of tax levies that they have and that, man, all right, within businesses within England, and they allow them to do business with the people in Europe and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure that's gonna have an effect. So, hey, there could be job losses and all kind of craziness happening as a result of that. But you're seeing all people feeling that. So, that's with that pretty much out the way, we're gonna get into this into Babylon, man. All right, because that's just a part of it, man. Okay. The destruction of the financial economy, that's just a part of it. We still got this thing out there with Russia, and really they could be using that as a destruction to really remove your eyes and remove your mind of what's really going on out there within Russia, man. Okay, here it is. You got America all along Russia's borders. Okay, they're sending what as battalions down there. They got what as helicarriers and military plane carriers, man. I forget the exact technical term for it, but they got all of those down in right down in there in the Black Sea, man. Okay, you got China also involved in that. You got Iran also involved in that. Why? Because the Most High put that spirit within these different nations to go to war with each other. All right. So I'm gonna start off in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, and I'm gonna move around a little bit. So, book of Joel. All right. Because all that's happening in this world right now, man. The Lord has put the spirit within these heathens to do that, man. All right. The Lord has put it within their spirit to do what they're doing, man. All right. So let me get to the word. So this is the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. I'm gonna start from the top. This is Joel 3:1. It says, "But in those days, right, and in that time, when I shall bring the captivity again of Judah and Jerusalem," because you got to where the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, all right, Judah and Jerusalem, because you're going back into the history, you had it to where Samaria, which was the capital of the house of Israel, which is also known as Israel within the scriptures. Okay, that was out there in Samaria, and by way of the Assyrians, they went into Assyria by way of captivity. And when they was in Assyria, they decided amongst themselves, when the Assyrians got taken down, that they was going to go out there into the Americas. Why did they do that? Well, when King David was in power, he had certain allegiances with what as the Carthaginians, which were Canaanites, all right? And they had joint military, I wouldn't say joint military, but they definitely had joint business ventures, all right? So they were going out there into the Americas, and he was taking peacocks, gold, all of them different things. All of that gold rush, that predates Esau going into America, man. because you had it to where you had the gold rush around about the 1800s and 1900s, so on and so forth. But really, when you go back into the history, King David and all of that, and sorry, rather more King Solomon. It's not. I don't believe so much King David sent. Certainly had those business ventures, but I know King Solomon had those business ventures, man. With people like the Carthaginians, and I forget what other people were, the Phoenicians. Okay, so they had sent ships all the way into America. They were taking all kind of treasures from there. So the people within the house of Israel knew about that place, man. Okay, so you right there, man? Huh?
Just a skirt for man.
Why am I dressed in a skirt? Does this look like a skirt? All right. Getting back onto the point I was making, right? You had it to where those joint business ventures were taking place. So when Assyrians came and they took Israel into captivity. Okay, when that captivity has finished, they said, look, we had enough of this. Let's go out there into that place where there's all kind of treasures in that, and you can read about that within the book of 2nd Ezra. They said, let's go out there into that place where we know there's all kind of treasures in that, all right, and we're going to keep the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. That's why you go out there into certain parts of where the Seminole Indians and the North American Indians are thought, they still have a remnants of that truth, but really the Most High had it to where that truth within them, namely the law, statutes, commandments, the 613 law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, they had it to where that was over time, it degraded, man, and that's in prophecy too. Okay, let me jump to Jeremiah 14 and 7. All right, I believe it's in Jeremiah the 14th chapter and the 17th verse. Okay, thou shalt discontinue from thy heritage. Bear with me. Nearly there. All right, so Jeremiah 14th chapter. Was it Jeremiah? Bear with me. 17 and 4. So this is Jeremiah 17 and 4. It says, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. So with regards to the so-called Seminole Indians, North American Indians, and certainly Latin-speaking tribes, which we know as the Hispanics, we know that over time that they lost who they, the knowledge of who they are. Now, partly of that's a result of them doing all the wickedness they was doing, man. So they started merging facets of doctrine, the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding contained within the scriptures, with what they had learned in these different Assyrian, the captivity of the Assyrians, the captivity of the, with the Egyptians and their gods and so on and so forth. They all mushed it into one thing, man. Okay, so over time they was discontinuing from their heritage. Now we're gonna see that before I finish off the book of Joel. We're gonna see what happened to Judea. Okay, because after the Assyrians had taken down Israel, and Israel went down into the Americas, and the Most High had it to where they lived a certain amount of time there before the Negroes came up in there. You had it to where Jerusalem was still there, man. Okay, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and not to be confused with the fact that you still had certain parts of the so-called Northern Kingdom amidst them, man. Okay, because when they went to convert, to create the Septuagint, if I'm not mistaken, they had it to where they had translated from all 12 tribes, meaning what? That all 12 tribes were amidst them. Now that would make sense because they were kinship. So you would have had it to where certain ones of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi would have been dwelt amongst their brothers out there within the Northern Kingdom, and you would have had it to where certain ones of Judah, Benjamin, furthermore, the rest of the 9 tribes would have dwelt amidst Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, man. So when we say the Negroes are Judah, that's really just that's really what as a generic way of putting it. You got it to where Jake is mingled amongst Jake because we're one people. We like women from all the 12 tribes, man. So you're gonna mingle amongst all of them. So you're gonna have it to where people gonna move around. But for the most part, Judah is gonna be the Negroes. You got it to where Benjamin, for the most part, is gonna be the West Indians, man. But a lot of people don't know that some of the first slaves came from England, man. All right, and they took them down there into places like I think Montserrat comes to mind. Okay, I might be mistaken in that information, but I know certainly ones of the first slave ships came from Ireland, man. Right? A lot of people don't know that. Okay, why? Because they knew that they when Esau came, he could see that these are Jakes, man. All right, because they were still they still retain their skin color and so on and so forth. So when they took them down out there into into America, man, right? You would have thought they was Negroes, but furthermore into the West Indies, right? You would off the face of the 12 tribes sign, you just think they're Benjamites, but really, their history gets a bit complicated like that. But Mosai done set it up so you can't, because it's not about, one nation. Once you know you're an Israelite, pretty much that's it, man. The Mosai is gonna have to where your lineage and where you're from and all of that is gonna be revealed in a lot of times, man. Okay, but getting back onto the point I was making. In the book of Jeremiah, the 17th chapter on the 4th verse, it says, "And thou, even ourselves, shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I'll cause thee to serve thine enemy in the land that thou knowest not." So you had it to where, we're going to see that in the book of the First Maccabees, all right? In the book of First Maccabees, you're going to see how Jerusalem had it to where the Edomites, all right, under the name of the Romans and so on and so forth, they done came up in there, all right, but ultimately by way of a period of time to where you had 1,000 years of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which is the house of Judah. They pretty much conquered all of Europe, all right. And when they were starting to lose their power, when you had it to where Christopher Columbus and all of that, they were coming into being, all right. The Mosai had it to where they got sent. All of them got sent. All the 12 tribes got sent into America, all right, which is what it speaks about here within the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Okay, so without much further ado, let's go to Maccabees. See the account there. Then I go to Revelations, the 12th chapter. All right, to show you the fleeing, the diaspora of the of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Because when he's talking about the floods there that done rode up against Jerusalem, right? That flood is talking about the armies that they did, them different Romans that had against Jerusalem, man. Okay, so let's go to start off with First Maccabees, right? And this is Maccabees, First Maccabees, the 11th chapter. Or rather more, First Maccabees, the 1st chapter and the 11th verse. It says, "And in those days they went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we have departed from them, we've had much sorrow." So when you go into the history, right, you had it to where the Egyptians, right up until the time of Necho, okay, who is the king that came against, who is the king that went up against, who's this guy, Nebuchadnezzar, right, and Nabopolassar, which was Nebuchadnezzar's father, all right. He was like the last, if I'm not mistaken, that was like one of the last strongholds of the Egyptians, and one of the last, great Egyptian pharaohs, okay. So you had it to where certain Jakes, they trusted in that strength of Egypt, man, okay. And and you can see that within the scriptures, within the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Was it Isaiah the 14th chapter? I think rather more Isaiah the 19th chapter, where it talks about war unto them that trust in Egypt. But not just Egypt, because when the Assyrians were in power, you had it to where you had certain Israelites that felt comfortable amidst the Assyrians, man. When you had it to where the Babylonians were in power, they had the same thing, man. Right, you always had it to where Jakes, right, Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and all of that, the Israelites have always, once they've been in a certain captivity for a certain amount of time, they get comfortable within that comfortability, which goes to show you ain't supposed to be comfortable in your captivity. Guess what? You start making covenant with the heathen, and the Mosai brings all kind of wrath upon you, man. Which is what you're going to see within the book of Revelations, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse. Okay? So it says here, and in those days they went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go up and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we have departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So the Mosai put all kind of hell upon them. And they said, look, man, we're going to join ourselves to the heathen, man. Okay? And you got Jake's doing that right now, man. All right? But all the time you go to where Esau reminds you that you're beneath it, man. That's why Esau's out there within, so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American neighborhoods, just killing all kind of Jake, man. All right? He's killing them, man, because you are beneath Esau as far as he concerns you, but as far as the scriptures concerned, you are above them, man. You are above all the people upon the face of the earth, man. And you can read about that in the book of Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter and the 6th verse. All right, it says, and this device pleased them well, and certain of the people, right, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, okay, were so forward hearing that they went out to the king to get, and they gave them license after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathens, right? And they made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves. Right, there's a lot said in there. I'm going too fast. Let me slow down a bit. It says, and made themselves uncircumcised. Now, did they grow their foreskin back? No. Well, when you actually read the history, I made a mistake there. I believe when you read the history, some of them actually did do that. They actually did sew some skin back on, if I'm not mistaken, because I've heard that story. But really, they forsook the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, man. They discontinued from their heritage. Okay, so that's why the scripture says, right, they have become a degenerate plant unto me, and that's where you got it to where the confusion with the mystery of the Gentiles that plays a part in that, because the ones of Jerusalem, namely Judas Maccabees and so on and so forth, the righteous ones that were still in Jerusalem, that they weren't with Israel selling out to Esau. They were like, pretty much when by process of time, they had a fervent hatred for them Jakes that were putting away and forsaking the Lord, man. Right, and they regarded those Jakes that forsook the law as heathens, man. Right, just like how they did their brothers, which was the Northern Kingdom, which consists of the Seminole Indians, the North American Indians, right, and the Hispanics, man. All right, because they had forsaken the Lord so much that the Most High took the whole nation, which was of the house of Israel, pretty much the whole house of Israel, into captivity, man. So they said, we ain't dealing with these guys, man. They regarded them as Gentiles, but they understood, right, back then that they were still Israelites, man. Right, but they didn't regard them like that. And when you go into certain parts of the law, it tells you when you commit certain crimes, when you commit certain acts against the scriptures, you're supposed to be banished from the city, man. Okay, you're supposed to be without the camp, man. Okay, so that's the first instance. Now let's read the punishment that came by a little bit later on. So this is the book of Jerusalem, Revelations, rather more, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse. Okay, and it says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell therein, worthy unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, which is Esau the deceiver, okay, the devil is come down having great wrath, right, because if he has a short time. Now that's playing out now, right, and it also played out back then, man. Okay, now let's go to the point, which is in a couple of verses down. Right, the 15th verse. And the serpent cast out of his mouth, as a flood after the woman. Now, what's that flood? Right, talking about that military intervention that he had against Jerusalem, and you can see that in the physical when you go out there into Rome and you go to Arc of Titus. Okay, when you go to see the Arc of Titus, that was what? That was them celebrating the fact that they had taken down the Negroes, right? Which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They taken down Jerusalem, man. And you can see them taking away, certain artifacts of gold that we had in the temple and all of that, man. Okay, so that's all documented, and they show you that, man. Okay, they show you certain ones of these artifacts and them being taken away. You had, I believe, you would have had certain Jakes being drawn up in pictures and all of that, man. All right, in the olden style pictures that they had, with the painting and all of that, you would have seen that taking down being happened, man. Another example that comes to mind is the Lachish relief, man. Okay. All right, and when you see them Assyrians taking down Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which was the southern kingdom, you can see them taken down, and it's just Jakes, man. Okay, so the proof is irrefutable, man. Okay, so pretty much, let me go back to Jeremiah the 17th chapter on the 4th verse. So we've seen a few examples. All right, hopefully I explained it well. If not, just leave your comments and I'll get into it a little bit. Hopefully a little bit better than I've done right now, but hopefully you've seen that's how the Most High had it to where that loss, where it says, "This thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I'll cause thee to serve thine enemies." Okay, now you're seeing that played out. How that played out, man. Okay, the Jakes, the house of Israel, they were already over there, and when Esau came up, they put all kind of hell upon them. Okay, you had it to where the Jakes that were still at Jerusalem, some of them forsook the Lord, and Moses sent the Romans up against them, and they came after them as if of a flood. So our heritage, which really, when you go into it, is the land itself, but more importantly, the laws, such commandments, and the scriptures, and all of that, and the understanding of the scriptures, man. You're seeing that how we lost all of that, but now we're getting into the times when the Most High is bringing that back. Right, which is what it's speaking about within the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter. Okay, hopefully, you're linking the dots back at home. All right, so it says, "And I'll cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, right? For ye have kindled a fire within my heart, which shall burn forever. How did we kindle a fire within the Lord's heart? Because we were doing all kind of wickedness, man. All right? You had certain kings, I believe the king Manasseh comes to mind, but you had certain ones of the kings. I think the father of Hezekiah, right, comes to mind, all right? If I'm not mistaken. And he was supposed to be the king, and he was burning, in fact, let me get that, man. In the book of 2 Kings. All right, bear with me, bear with me. Right. So, I think it was the father of Hezekiah. I'm just trying to get the exact account. Right? In the book of let me get it right, nearly there. See, I'll use this as an example. This is 2 Kings 17th chapter, but it's really dealing with I know, here we go. This is what I wanted. That's it. Here. So this is dealing with Ahaz, who was the father of Hezekiah. Now Hezekiah was really righteous in the eyes of the Lord. If